I really thought I was waiting on God to unfold my love story because I was praying, I was waiting, I thought I had huge faith. And every time I'd meet a new guy, I would think, okay, this is the guy who is so much more aligned with who I am and what I want. God is going to open up his eyes and he will see me and I will finally have my love story. And I didn't realize God was waiting on me. Here I am asking God to change all these outside circumstances, not even realizing that I'm the one repeating the same program, the same subconscious blocks, the same thing that got me in the same problem in the first time. I'm just stuck in that same cycle. And so here's my story of how I finally broke out of this delusion, even though I used to think it was great faith, because I really believe that this is the answer and this is the hope and clarity that you are seeking for as well. Ladies, I was that girl who binged watched all of the kingdom marriage videos possible. And I was truly, genuinely desiring to experience that kingdom love, that God ordained spouse. I was like obsessed listening to these stories where, God opened up this person's eyes and then he saw her, or, this massive miraculous intervention that God had to then somehow bring these two people together against all odds, against all the blocks and circumstances and obstacles that the devil threw at them. Like, I was so consumed by that because, well, I desired a kingdom mate. I wanted to be married. I wanted to do God's work. I was so kingdom minded, and yet for some reason love was not coming into my life. At least at the time, I was not aware of how I was actually blocking it and stuck in these cycles. But I was nonetheless just consuming this content, believing and praying for that kingdom spouse without having actual tangible steps, a roadmap to help guide me to this man so that we can create a natural relationship, other than me praying for God's supernatural, miraculous intervention in love. That's where I was at, honestly. And so at the time, here's a little bit of my story. I was talking to this guy. Now, when I say I was talking to him, listen to the story. He was an amazing guy. He was kingdom-minded, professional, a lot of masculine qualities, traits about him. He was a good man. And I was thinking, with my brain, on the outside, this is how I used to operate. Like, this is probably the guy for me because I'm a kingdom woman. I'm mission minded. Look at the purpose. Look at how our lives could possibly come together. Like, look at the kingdom couple that we could be on this earth. I mean, I was just like, mission, go, go, go. And I was convinced that, like, we have a good friendship. I mean, we were just talking. It was super, I think the word was platonic. Like, nothing was going on. It was just once in a while, hey, how are you? How's business? How's God? What's God doing in your life? And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what an amazing friendship. What an amazing foundation. God is going to create something amazing out of this. And he will open up this guy's eyes and he will see me. So Lord, I trust you. I trust you to open up his eyes when it's time. And here I am basically waiting for this guy to see me. And at that time, I started to work with a coach for some actual life help and breakthroughs. And no surprise, my love life came up because I desired to get married and I needed some help. And, I was like updating her about this guy and how awesome he is and what a good man and kingdom mind, updating her. And she finally stopped me and said, hey, with so much kindness and compassion. And she said, does this guy have any romantic interest towards you? Has he expressed anything beyond anything that's professional or friendship? And I basically was stopped dead in my tracks, and I was like, no, wait, well, and I was really disappointed to realize that I was stuck. I was stuck as a friend, as a professional acquaintance, and I was humbled. I'm going to be honest. I was kind of floored because the homework assignment that I got after that session was to look up videos on YouTube, not about kingdom marriage, but videos about being friend zoned. And I was kind of offended But I mean, I came into this experience when I was ready to do the inner work. I said, I'm ready to hear some truth. So, whatever dose of truth I needed. And sure enough, when I was listening to these, I can't believe I had to like listen to this because we get so blinded in our sometimes delusions. I was listening to these friend zone videos, and sure enough, it's like every point, every sign, he's like, yep, yep, yep. I'm friend zoned. And yet it was so sad because I was still convinced that my great faith can override this friend zone trap. And surely God is going to do something and bring this man's attraction towards me. And this will be the loveliest, most amazing kingdom story ever. That's where I was at. So here's where I got it so wrong. I mistook false hope for faith. Okay, that was my clear, eye-opening moment. You know, I thought that waiting on God meant that God would change this guy or another guy, any guy, but would change a guy's heart for me. Like I thought I needed God's intervention to make this guy like me. That's just where I was at, honestly, ladies. And I've talked to a lot of ladies who think like that, and we have got to be healed and delivered in how our heart is so that we can finally truly receive the man that God has for us. And so the question is, ladies, do you want to be with a man who God had to force you to be with, who God had to convince of you, of your purpose together, and that's why this guy should take you? Do you want to be with a man because he has to have some kind of supernatural eye-opening experience to see you? And if you do, and that's your story, like that's wonderful. But for me, I actually decided when I, started to look into this like friend zone thing, and I finally said, you know what? I understand that for some people, they start with friends and that's great and they can build upon that foundation, because even when I had that assignment, I was still searching like how God can use friendship to have the best marriage ever instead of just like taking it for what it is. But when I finally received it and accepted, this is an awesome friendship and I'm really glad that nothing happened. Maybe like we're too aligned. I started to realize, what do I actually want in terms of a guy? Do I really want to have a man that God, kind of forces him, has this supernatural experience to see me? Or do I want a man who naturally, instinctively is drawn to me as a woman? And that's when things started to get juicy. That's when like the juices started to flow and I started to get excited, because I finally felt like, instead of feeling almost trapped in these boxes of this kingdom story of how God is gonna intervene and this and slay that dragon and and then he will see, it was like, whoa, what if I can actually be with a man who is so drawn to me, who is so in love with me, who wants to create a passionate, devoted marriage because he is, just like turned on by who I am as a woman, by my essence, my beingness. And ladies, I realized I want a kingdom man, but I don't want to step into some kind of kingdom business partnership. You get my drift? I know I'm speaking to someone here. Someone who is professional, who's powerful, who wants that kingdom marriage. You want a man who sees you, who's drawn to you, who desires to protect you, who wants to cherish you, who wants to know you because of the type of woman who you are, because of what gets activated in him as a man when he experiences you as the feminine. And if you're anything like me, that was a huge distinction in my love story, and that's when things finally started to get right. So here's the breakthrough moment. I stopped playing small. That means I had to really put myself out there. And I realized I was operating out of false hope. I never understood that. I thought my faith was so huge, and I thought my faith alone would finally carry me into the marriage that I desired, instead of actually addressing the real problems that were keeping me stuck. And I was still the same woman. I was repeating the same patterns. I was still stuck with the stuff on the inside. None of that had changed. And yet I was still hoping for some kind of outside different outcome. And when I got real with myself, I started to recognize, if nothing is changing on the inside, how am I supposed to experience something different on the outside? I mean, that's just like, that's crazy. And so I stopped believing for a husband, and I started to do the deeper work to open up myself as the healed, wholesome, feminine woman that could be the true match for the love that I desired, where there would be a natural polarity, a natural experience. I mean, God created man biology. God created the feminine, the female, her biology. Given our energies, I wanted to experience that polarity. I wanted that to be the foundation. I mean, and yes, having that foundation of friendship and our kingdom assignment and values, but I wanted it to be tied with the fact that, like, this man is attracted to me and drawn to me, and I am very attracted and drawn to him as a man. Like, come on, like, how else are we expected to have juicy, passionate, awesome marriages that the world looks at and desires? We got to lead by example, of course. So, ladies, when I finally owned this, my life changed fast. Very, very, very fast. Within just a few weeks of starting this inner work process of shifting, becoming in alignment, becoming aligned with what I wanted, I met my husband. And this was not someone who God had to convince him to see me. I mean, this is a man who automatically saw me, who chose me, who adored me, who pursued me. I had never experienced that in my entire life. I mean, it's what I craved. It's what my heart was constantly desiring and praying. I was on fire, wishing that was my story. And then I finally got it. And yes, this man was a kingdom man. This is a Christ man. But I got out of my own way. I stopped operating of how I think this man needs to look like and act like, and what kingdom was supposed to be, and what my kingdom love story was. You know, I had to drop a lot of stuff, and I had to own my desire, but then surrender to how God would create it. And so, ladies, if this is the same situation, like, this sounds all too familiar, like you're hoping for God's supernatural breakthrough to create, force some kind of kingdom love marriage situation to happen, trust me, you don't want it to be like that. You want it to be where there is this natural, exciting attraction. And it starts with you shifting your internal patterns first. You have to do the internal work to see the external stuff different. There is no other way. And when I say internal work, that inner work, that means your nervous system, you have to expand that capacity for what you can receive. You are shifting subconscious patterns, blocks, the things that you are stuck in, the rules. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but basically all of that energy within you on the inside is what determines what you draw in and attract on the outside. It's 100% linked to the type of men who see you or don't see you. It has everything to do with you, because the feminine, the female, she goes first in energy. She goes first in what she puts out, and the masculine always responds to her. I mean, this is just one out of so many different principles that I learned that were life-changing, which, by the way, ladies, if you are interested to go deeper to understand this, check out my free training, Activate Your Feminine Charm. It's a must. It's in the link below. I get into what makes you magnetic and irresistible to men. You got to do the nervous system work. You have to expand your nervous system to hold what it is that you desire. You have to clean up the subconscious blocks, the fears, the stories, the limiting stories, the unworthiness wounds. Like, there's so many things in this inner work process that you have to do, that as soon as you shift these emotional patterns, you will absolutely see a different type of men become attracted to you, because it's all about energy, spiritual, whatever word you're comfortable with, all of that energy, the spiritual world, that all goes first. And what we see on the outside, the physical representation, is just a representation, a confirmation of what's actually on the inside. And so if you keep seeing the same cycle of men who maybe respect you, maybe you have a good relationship, friendship, right? But they don't choose you. They don't have that adoration, devotion, cherishment, interest, intrigue. If they don't have that, it's not a sign that you need to have more faith for God to activate that for you. It's a sign that you need transformation. And I wanted to share this quick story. Being the spiritual, Bible aware, Bible story loving woman that I am, I remember that one of the stories that I was operating from was in the Old Testament, the story of the man who had leprosy, and there was the servant girl who told him, hey, you need to go meet this prophet, and he's going to help you get cleansed. And this man comes to the prophet, and the prophet says, hey, go to this Jordan River and dip in it 7 times, and you will be healed. And this man gets into this water, and it's this really, really dirty water. And this is a man who is very like high up there royalty. Anyways, he gets into the water and he starts dipping in the first time, the second time, and the 6th time, and he's not getting cleansed. The leprosy is not leaving him, and he could have just like left and said, this is stupid, screw this, right? You're humiliating me. But instead, he dipped in the 7th time, and the 7th time he came up from the water, he was cleansed. And I was using this story to continue to what I thought increase my faith and hold on to trust in God. And that's why I would get stuck with guys so many times. That's why every time I was thinking, okay, this time. And I even told her, like, okay, but surely there comes a point where the 7th time, right, symbolically, something's going to be different. It will be my turn. Surely this time, the 7th time, I will be seen. It will be my turn to experience my love story. And, thank God for godly wisdom. Thank God she was able to set me free and get me on the right path. And she said, if you are not changing anything on the inside and you are continue to operate out of the same patterns, nothing has shifted. It is insanity. I mean, it is the definition of insanity to think something will change on the outside. And I remember like this sinking feeling, thinking like I know I'm a kingdom woman. I know that I've seen God in my life. I know God has a big plan, but like, what? Have I really been wasting my life being stuck? Like how, like that's when I started to almost panic a little bit. Like I am here thinking I'm operating out of great faith. And in this particular area, which was my love life, like I'm stuck. I am, because I hadn't shifted anything on the inside. I wasn't even aware of what was going on the inside. And so the truth, ladies, it can hurt. And the Bible talks about the truth is symbolic of a sword. It can penetrate, it can slice, it can divide, but the truth sets you free. And so I want to encourage you, ladies, if you feel like you're catching yourself in the same cycles, or if anything in my story is echoing, I want to give you so much hope, because when I embraced the change, the transformation that's necessary to truly bring in your man, my life changed fast. And now I'm married, I have a baby. Like my life keeps getting more amazing with this man. Like I get to literally experience God. I'm serious. Like Christ's love for me in the most tangible, real way. I've never had it like this. Like I believe in God. I've seen his powers and miracles, but my husband is one of the best representations of who God is, of Christ's love for me. And I know you can have this too, but there is no other way unless you start to do the inner work that's required, the same inner work that I had to do. And now I'm on the other side of it, encouraging you, saying you can do it too. Ladies, I had to get radically honest about how I was showing up in relationships. And I also had to stop, pretending that I just had to wait for God and, sit back and wait for this divine intervention. And instead, I had to actively prepare myself to receive the kingdom love that I was praying for. And when I finally did the deep inner work, that's when I attracted the man who from day one, from the immediate interaction we had, he was drawn to me. And it feels so good as a woman to know that this man was drawn to me from the beginning, and he's still drawn to me. It's not something that was forced. It was there from the foundation. And that's exactly why I created my free training. Make sure to check it out. Activate your feminine charm. I help you become that magnetic woman who finally draws in the love that she's desiring, where she's not just waiting for God to bring in a man, but she is energetically becoming that vessel, that radiant feminine energy that is the light for this guy that wants to see you, wants to meet you, and you've been praying for him. It's in the link below. Check it out. So, ladies, I went from being that girl who didn't even know, who wouldn't even believe that she was friend zoned, to the woman who, from day one, was able to experience extremely powerful, magnetic, passionate, beautiful love with a masculine man that I only dreamed of. And this is not just my story. This is absolutely available for you, because once I realized it's not about me just hoping that God will do something magically different, and when I realized it's not just about God's divine timing, someday, one day things will come together, when I realized it's about me becoming aligned, coming into alignment with what I desired and actively co-creating that with God, that's when everything changed very fast. And I will say that the supernatural part of it was how quickly my life story changed. So I want to encourage you, the same absolutely can happen with the women who are ready to take the next step. Start with watching my free training in the link below, but you can watch my next video where I continue to encourage you and remind you that real love does exist and it is waiting for you. See you in the next one.